Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to start this episode of Fulton Street Beats by reading you a poem. And I read, The Gibson's Fool. O hapless soul, a guitar slave, a Gibson's thrall, a fortune's grave. You pay the price, a king's demand, for splintered wood, a shaky hand. While Chibsons chime, a sonic grace, and a fraction of a cost, a sweeter place, with craftsmanship keen and a tone divine, a bargain's beauty, a sound sublime. Yet you persist, a foolish sight, a captive mind, devoid of light. Made in America, your mantras cry, a costly myth, a reason why. Cognitive dissonance, your mind's disease, a blind devotion with a lack of ease. You clutch your relic, all worn and frayed, while Chibson's future is brightly played. So let us pity this hapless fool, whose wallet weeps, a costly school, a lesson learned, a price well paid, for Gibson's myth forever decayed. By Fulton Street Beats. Hey guys, welcome back to Fulton Street Beats. Good to see you again. If you caught my last video, it's on this Firefly LP style guitar. And we unboxed it. I told you that it was an amazing guitar. Did a backing track and see how this thing sounded in a mix. And I wanted to update you guys on this guitar already because, well, it's just a fantastic guitar. I haven't really sat it down. I've been doing a lot of recording with this guitar. Got a really good vibe to it. And I think that's what it's all about. Now, for you connoisseur, cork sniffing, Gibson lovers that can't appreciate anything else but the $4,000, $5,000 pieces of wood that you have, this is not the video for you. I suggest you just skip along. This is for people who live in reality and realize that budget guitars can sound fantastic and yes, just as good as expensive guitars. It's not rocket science. We've proved that over and over and over and over and over again. But sometimes, well, it's like beating a dead horse. It just doesn't work with the cork sniffers. And what makes them tick? I don't know. I don't get it personally over wooden magnets. I don't understand it. I think the ego sets in a little bit. And when you realize in the back of your mind that you really paid a lot of money for a guitar that other guitars that cost fractions of the price can compete with, I really think the egos kick in and it really pisses a lot of people off. That's my personal feelings on it. And honestly, that's the only thing I can come up with because the reality is that Gibson or any other high-end brand, while they may be good, there's other brands that can be just as good that don't cost anywhere near the price. And I'm going to give you an example on this Firefly guitar. So if you don't like budget guitars, like I said, Junior, move along. Not the channel for you. You won't be tolerated in the comment section below. We just delete you. So it is what it is. This is for the people who, well, don't have deep pockets and understand the fact that they don't need deep pockets to sound good, to play out, to gig, whatever. So let's start with this inexpensive Firefly that is $189, a little over $200 with shipping. And let's just base it on reality. Things that no one can argue with, although they still will try. This is a mahogany body, mahogany neck. And right away, people will say, well, it's not magical Gibson mahogany. It's not sourced from the magical Gibson forest. Well, maybe not. But nonetheless, it is mahogany. It's classified mahogany, and that is the scientific term for it. It is a mahogany. No, regardless of where it came from, it is a mahogany wood. And that is a fact. So that is fact number one. The mahogany they used isn't like Gibson used in the past when they got fined for using endangered species of woods. Yeah, we talk about ethics, but nobody talks about that aspect of it, right? So, yeah, there you go. A little more eco-friendly mahogany, even though it's not magical and doesn't have the Lucky Charms leprechaun endorsing it. Okay, so mahogany body, we have a flamed maple top. But let's move on to other things. We have pickups that simply sound amazing, as I can demonstrate over and over and over again. I get comments, those pickups are junk, they can't be good. My pickups cost more than that entire guitar. Well, you've been ripped off. Pickups aren't rocket science either. They're magnets and wire. It's all in how they're wound. It's all in how they're potted or not potted. For instance, vintage Gibson PAFs weren't potted. And a lot of people are chasing those tones because, well, they're a little brighter. They got more mids. So a little microphonics is good. This has a touch of microphonics, but not over the top. These are a very vintage sounding pickup. And I can't tell you by listening to a pickup. Nobody listens to a guitar and goes, those are Gibson pickups. Nobody's done that in a mix. Nobody. And how do I know? Because half of you idiots out there think that Led Zeppelin recorded with a Les Paul, when in fact he was recording with a Telecaster a lot of times. So your bluff's been called for all you connoisseurs. It doesn't work that way. It's got full-size pots in it. Yeah, that's an upgrade. Full-size pots. But the best part about this guitar, mahogany body, full-size pots, outstanding pickup, good hardware, very stable tuners. And let's talk about this. What would you pay for a Gibson with a volute? That's right, it has a volute. The finish is outstanding on this guitar. You can debate all day long, poly, nitro. It doesn't make a difference to me as long as the guitar is pretty. And this is pretty. And poly, fact, is more durable than nitro. With the tone. We hear that argument. The tone. But the tone. Doesn't make a difference in the magnetic field. It doesn't. Get with the program. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid. They're trying to sell guitars based on the wood and the finish. And telling you it sounds better. Hell, now they go as far as to beat the shit out of the guitars and tell you they sound better because they beat the shit out of them. It's beat up. No. It doesn't work that way. Never has, never will. Because if that's the case, I'll drag it behind the truck and then play it, right? Doesn't work. We have a real rosewood, dark rosewood fretboard. And then we have people saying, well, what about the inlays? Well, these inlays are probably acrylic, I'm going to guess, right? Well, they're not MOP. Yeah, a lot of Gibsons aren't MOP either. But that's okay when it's a Gibson. So let's get this straight. Microphonics are okay when it's a Gibson. And if you have acrylic inlays on a Gibson, that's okay. Some cork sniffing going on, right? Some more like ass kissing going on. So, mahogany body, great pickups, great hardware, great pots, great tone. Real bone nut. Okay, that's good. What can I say about this nut? It's cut better than a Gibson nut. Yeah, you've seen me unbox Gibsons before. They're not exactly top tier QC, right? As a matter of fact, this guitar crushes it. Most guitars in here crush Gibsons on QC. If you're not buying the name or the leprechauns that come with it. Tuners are stable. They put a seam here on the back of the neck. They don't do wings. They put a seam here. That's for strength. Now let's get this straight. All headstocks can break on all guitars if they're hit right. We see countless amounts of video of people tipping guitars over to the front and say, well, the headstock stayed in one piece. Well, yeah, but tip it over from the back and have it hit this way. Usually they don't stay in one piece. It's called physics. It's how they're hit. Sometimes headstocks don't break at all when they fall. For instance, my Chibson Randy Rhoads fell almost 10 feet from the top of the stairs to the floor below. It didn't break the headstock, didn't break the body, did crack the binding on the fretboard just a touch. Still plays outstanding, still stays in tune. As a matter of fact, it's one of my most stable guitars for tuning. Still. So, myths. Now here we go. Stainless steel, medium jumbo, bald end frets. Stainless steel frets on a guitar that is sub $200. What would you pay for a Gibson with stainless? Wait, does Gibson even do stainless steel frets? I'm not sure. Okay, but I don't like the horn. Well, they're not trying to be a Gibson. It's a single cut guitar. Not trying to be a Gibson. So it doesn't make a difference. The horn feels good. It sits right, sits good in the lap. And the finish is beautiful. Outstanding quality of this guitar. And the switch is amazing. So, where is it junk? I can hear the comments now. I can hear the clickies and the computer warriors and the keyboard warriors. I can show you this guitar in a mix. I can show you it raw. No matter what, the connoisseurs will say it's junk because they've been had, they've been taken. They've paid a lot of money and their ego won't let them accept the fact that they have been ripped off. That is the facts. That is the facts. It's okay to admit when you've did something wrong or stupid. And hell, maybe it's not even wrong or stupid. Maybe you just really wanted that guitar and you have deep pockets.
Whatever, I'll do what I want.
And that's understandable. To each their own. That's fine. Don't get me wrong. I would buy a bunch of Gibsons. They got certain feel to them. They have an aura to them. But so do other guitars. And I give you this guitar. Yes, this guitar has an aura. It plays good. And people say, well, it's got to be junk. It's got to be junk. What's the weight? It's got to weigh like balsa wood, right? Because you know how that mahogany that's not magical is, well, it doesn't weigh as much. Although, wow, isn't that Gibson's new thing? Lightning guitars. They want to make them light. Everybody wants the lightest guitar they can find until it's a budget guitar. Then they pick on it because it's not heavy. So let's just be realistic and get away to this thing. And let's see what it is here. Oh, we're over 9 pounds here, so hold on here. 9.8 pounds. That's not too shabby, I don't think. We have a cord plugged in here, so let's take off 1/4 pound for the end of the cut. So let's say 9 pounds, okay? 9-pound guitar. That's pretty soggy, right? Even for a Les Paul, seems how everybody's looking for them now around 8 pounds. Unless you have one for around 8 pounds, and then it's a problem. I don't understand it. You guys got to stop. You got to stop. They're just, in the end, they're all just pieces of wood and magnets. There's no rocket science going on here. There's no high tech going on here. It's the same old technology repeated for years and years and years. And everybody's surprised that budget brands are doing it. Well, here's the thing. Here's the news flash, and here's why. Because us Americans, well, we like to get raped and bent over the coals, right? We love it. We like to pay a lot for things. And because we paid a lot for it, we like to justify that and say that it's the best when it's not the best. It's simply not the best. And, well, here's proof that a budget guitar can be outstanding without getting into any of the other guitars that I have around here that are budget guitars that are outstanding. And the difference is, too, when we get a budget guitar in and it needs a little setup, oh, to you connoisseurs, it's the worst thing in the world, right? It's the worst thing in the world. And the number one thing that a guitar connoisseur, a cork sniffer, says is, well, I took the guitar to my luthier, and he said... Well, that's a warning sign right there that you don't know what you're talking about. Because if you're taking your guitar to your luthier, your wonderful guitar doctor, your guitar surgeon, you don't know shit about guitars. If you don't know how to set up your own guitar, mister, you have a problem and you should be quiet right now. And of course, your luthier or your guitar surgeon is going to tell you there's issues with guitars. Do you know why? Because you're the fool that's also forking over a lot of money to have them set up. That's right. They don't do it for free, and they love to see you guys coming, especially when you have a Gibson or even a budget guitar. And then they can tell you how bad the budget guitar is and how much work it needed compared to the precious Gibson, because it goes against the status quo to put down a Gibson. And you all go along to get along. These are facts. These aren't opinions, because it's exactly what you do and it's shown every day. And then there's the 90% of the people that live in reality, the real world. Their feet are on the ground. They're not floating in the clouds with magical fairy dust. The ones that know we can get guitars that are good, solid guitars that we can play out, have fun with, sit at home with, record in our little studios at home, our bedrooms, hell, just practice in the living room and have fun with. No respectable gigging musician would ever be caught dead playing out with one of those guitars. Well, that's not true. There's plenty of musicians that do. And if you're saying that, you're not a musician, because musicians don't put down other musicians. It's just, well, not good etiquette, right? It's just not. So you don't do that. So if you think you're better than everybody else and your opinion matters more than everybody else, well, you are the definition of a guitar asshole, not just a snob. Because you're not better than everybody else. Actually, you're worse than everybody else. And 90% of guitar players know you're worse than everybody else. See, you're the minority. The guitar snob is the minority. The real 90% love guitars, period, no matter what name's on the headstock. And you hear things in forums, you regurgitate them because you gravitate towards each other. Misery loves company. And you gravitate towards each other in your little miserable cliques, and you still fight amongst each other too, but you regurgitate lies and myths, and then you fight over them. And you take everything so personally. And you don't know a thing that you're talking about. And it's the truth. You just don't know. You can't understand facts. You can't understand logic. And you think everything you have is better than what everybody else has based on price and a name. And, well, in my book, that just makes you a dickhead. So everybody likes examples, of course, of what's a myth, what's a good myth. And we all get into the Tonewood debate. And it's, there's a difference between debate and then just being proven wrong by facts. Well, the facts are that Tonewoods matter in acoustic guitars, violins, hell, pianos, anything that really needs to resonate to produce a sound. An air pump, if you will. Well, guess what? These aren't air pumps, and they do have acoustic properties. All of these guitars have acoustic properties. And yes, this is a different guitar. This is a very inexpensive Chibson. And they have acoustic properties. This is also, this has got a maple cap, a flame maple cap on it, mahogany body, the whole thing. It's relic, it's beat up. Must sound better because it's beat up. No, I assure you it doesn't. Has really good electronics. How do I know? Because I put them in. But the point is, the guitar sounds outstanding regardless of what wood it is. Well, that's impossible to a cork sniffer. Well, I bring you the Ibanez gem, the acrylic gem made. Yes, it's an acrylic gem. How does that guitar sound so amazing? It's not even made of wood. Well, that's because it's all in the magnetic field. And most of you, well, you confuse sustain and tone. You confuse the two. See, sustain is how long a note is held, and the tone is, well, how the guitar sounds. And they're two different things. So sustain is affected by what the guitar is made out of, for sure, how long that note will resonate. The tone will be the same, but the sustain will carry it for a certain amount of time. And to your ears, you might mistake that for tone because you're hearing it longer. But it's not. That's why an acrylic gem has amazing sustain. Because it's, well, basically like glass, and it's resonating and not stopping. So they have amazing sustain. So certain woods have a lot of sustain, but not the woods you think. No. If you want a lot of sustain, it's your actual tone woods that they used to make, quality musical instruments out of, such as violins, cellos, that sort of thing, that actually are lighter and vibrate longer. You see, the lighter the wood is, the longer it vibrates. That's why acoustic guitars are made of, poplars and birches, real tone woods. And I hope that makes sense. A lot of people can't grasp the idea. But in a magnetic field, what's happening between the strings and those magnets are what you are hearing. That is it. The relationship between this and this. That is what you're hearing. Now, you can have a guitar sound like shit, no matter what it is, if it's set up wrong. Jim Lill did a video on it. He had a guitar with nothing underneath it. Sounded just like a Stratocaster, or a Telecaster, I should say. That's right, there was no body. There was nothing. Well, how was that possible? With your guys' theory of tone wood, there should have been no tone at all, because there's nothing there to create tone. These are the myths. Another myth is, those frets, those Chinese frets, you're going to get lead poisoning. Well, guess what, boys and drools? A property of nickel-silver frets, regardless of what guitar they're on, is they have traces of lead in them. All of them. Oh my God. Better go out and get a kit and test them. It's a property of nickel-silver. Nickel-silver has no silver in it. It's just a name. Don't believe me? Look it up. Your myths are insane. And then we have, the slave labor in China myths with guitars. No, stop. Stop. Well, you're giving your money to these foreign superpowers. Yeah, you are too every time you shop at Walmart. Douchebag. Get with the program. It's not hooray for me and thee. Yeah. We all do it. We buy what we like because you know why? You ready for this? Because we're Americans. We buy what we want. We have that freedom. If you live in other countries, you don't have that freedom. But we do. But yet, you true blue American Gibson connoisseurs that just want to buy Gibsons want to take away American freedoms and say that we can't buy what we want because we don't agree with your, snobbiness. All right, guys. Thanks for watching Full Industry Beats. If you like this video and you like upsetting the status quo and the guitar gods and the cork sniffers and the corporate interests that seem to run this country and bend everybody over, this might be the channel for you. If you like facts, this might be the channel for you. If you are not one of those weirdos, this might be the channel for you. All right, guys. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, and remember, it's rock and roll that makes the world do that spinny thing, not douchebags. Peace. Bye.